Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Mind Shift Experiment. I am one of your hosts, Amanda Knox.
And I'm Carter Brown.
And we are diving into some really good stuff today. We actually were like, you know what? We've got so much to talk about. I feel like we're both in like our passion points of our cycles. We have to go. We have to just let our inspiration and our minds guide us through this. But I actually just finished a book that is so in line with everything we talk about, so in line with everything we do, everything we believe in, and all the things we understand, that I was like, I feel like I have to incorporate this book. This book, I 10 out of 10 recommend. It is called The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. You guys, this book is amazing. I listened to it on Audible because I cannot sit and read for the life of me anymore with ADHD and being a mom. And I want to get into some of the teachings of it. And I figured, if you have any stories or anything, examples that come to mind, Carter, throw them in there. I know I need to as well, because I was just so blown away from this book. So the premise of the book is
First of all, I think it's funny that I sent the book to you, and
yes,
I was
like, I'm already reading it.
And I was like, well, first of all, why didn't you send it to me? And I'm like, dang, okay, we really on the same wavelength here. So you're ahead of me in the book. I've been doing a little bit of research into Dr. Bruce Lipton myself, but I'm reading like 3 other books right now, so I have to like choose a lane. But
That's
I'm
what
definitely,
I have to do.
yeah. But I like can't put these other 3 down. But yeah, once we made that connection, we were like, okay, we're on to something. We've definitely got to incorporate this because his research and work is so groundbreaking. I mean, he started out just as like a normal researcher, and he realized through his stem cells research that it's not your genetics that how does he
It's epigenetics, not genetics. Yeah. Well, and that's what I love. I mean, it challenges the traditional belief that genes control our lives, because how many times are we using the excuse, it's genetic? We're fat because of genetics. We're predispositioned to cancers like the BRCA gene because of genetics and things like that. No. That is what doctors and scientists have led you to believe. Yes, you're predestined to things because your family and generational, blah, blah, blah. From having poor health to bad teeth to, weight loss and thin hair. I mean, everything is coming down to epigenetics. So, he's like, genes are like blueprints. They are, but the environment and perception determines which blueprints in your genetics are activated. So if you are told, well, it's just in our genetics, if that cancer gene is just genetics, it's just in our genetics, you're activating that blueprint in those genetics to create that reality. So, he goes back to what we talk about, what we believe in, what we're so passionate about. Your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and subconscious programming influence everything. They influence gene expression. They influence your life. They influence your success. They influence how you think about reality. They influence everything. Now, I was amazed that it was down to genes. Go ahead.
Well, he compares this idea to the fact that rich people remain rich and poor people remain poor because they are in that environment. They're believing what they're told, either lack or abundance. And so you transfer that to genes, and of course it makes sense. So when he laid that out for me, I was like, okay, wait, this totally makes sense, that your environment, your belief system, what you're programmed literally creates your reality.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's crazy. Because, God, now I can't even think of it, but there was something that really stuck out with me, and I ended up talking about it on Instagram, and it was just like, the thing is I remember what it is. If you are diagnosed with cancer and the doctor tells you that you have X amount of time to live, you've activated that scenario by believing it and living life that way, where it's crazy because towards the end of the biology of belief, and I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but there was this book by Anita, I can't remember her last name, but it's called Dying to Be Me. And she talks about how this isn't true, how, you take on the reality you're convinced you will have. But if you can convince yourself otherwise, you can actually change the outcome. There are so many studies proving that this is true. But here's the thing. Society has successfully brainwashed us to believe in what they tell us, what they condition us to believe. That is why we think reality is set in stone for us. Generational poverty, weight, things like that. It's embedded in us. There was something where It's just like, well, I'm like that. So of course you're going to be like that. You're expecting out of your kid where you're passing down and opening that genetic blueprint for your child where you can completely change it. That is where I think generational trauma is genuinely coming from. It is in genetic blueprint activation through indoctrination, through brainwashing, through the illusion of identity, all the things that we tackle here. It's constantly just embedded in you. Think of all the ways your mom conditioned you to be who you are today, or your dad, or whatever, or, you being told who you're supposed to be. And this goes down to religious programming, goes down to weight, this goes down to absolutely everything, and it affects us in our day to day. I meant as a like broad blanket statement. Think about the things your parents said to you, everybody listening on here, that made you believe who you are today. Like, for example, I am going to talk about, my mom. I'm constantly telling my sister, my little sister, who is 4 years younger than me, Lauren, you could be so good at this. You could be so great at social selling. You have a story. You have a really impactful journey through, a loveless marriage and divorce and life after divorce and finding yourself, finding your best self after divorce. Do you know how many people you can impact? And there's my mom coming at her being like, well, she's like me. She's like me where we don't have that personality. You have your dad's personality. That right there is creating the
self-limiting
blueprint
belief
for that gene. It is a self-limiting belief. It has created an illusion of an identity for her when I see something completely different. I'm going, I could change her life, if not me, but like me helping her, guide her.
But your belief in her will change your life.
Yes.
Just like you changed my life. No,
I did. But that's one of those things where I don't know if it's like a superpower or a gift. I wish I would love that. I mean, I want to feel like that is the case, but I can see the beauty in everyone, the possibilities in everyone. And it's so funny that I actually had this conversation with ChatGPT, and I'm like, what's the point? Like, for those that do come from situations where they're stuck and they can't get out and they just don't know there is another way out. Like, what is the point here? And there were just so many really profound and impactful things. But at the end of the day, the point really boils down to understanding that we create our reality. And again, this goes down to epigenetics.
Yeah.
That's what
and Bruce really
hones
in on the fact of repetition. Like, repetition is what creates our reality. And he's really big on, speaking affirmations and writing them down. He's like, don't write a sticky note and put it on your mirror. You reading it is not repetition enough. You have got to actively say these things or write them down. Something with the brain causes it to download better than just simply reading it. So when he said that on a podcast, it really stood out to me. I was like, dang, how many times have we told people, write a sticky note. But really what you need to be doing is the power of visualization. Yeah, it's the visualization. It's waking up and believing I'm going to have a great day. It's waking up and believing I'm going to be successful in social selling or being an influencer, whatever you want to be. It's believing that. Someone actually sent me a message yesterday like, hey, I really want to earn this next rank. What do I need to do? Like, do I need to work harder? Am I not doing enough? And I was like, actually, no, none of that. My best advice is to do what I did. And when I prayed every single day to hit that rank to earn the 100,000 shares, I believed it with every single fiber of my being. There was no doubt in my mind. And so I told her, I go, before you wake up in the morning, you need to visualize hearing your name at convention and that rank attached to it. Hearing yourself envisioning that in your back office, or if you don't know network marketing, this might go over your head, but your sales reports, whatever it is, envision yourself at the top. When you do that, you are literally creating your reality by that visualization. It sounds so like, no, that
cliche.
Can't work. But but that is what it is. And that's why we called our podcast this is an experiment. Everything that we're talking about is like, just try it. Just try it for 21 days.
But here's the thing. It's an experiment that we did that worked. Yeah. That is what, and the deeper we dive into neuroscience and epigenetics and biology and belief systems and understanding the brain, that understanding the brain and the soul. Like there's just so much that no, it's not as simple as just a mindset or a mindset shift. It's an embodiment. It is a full embodiment. Is it difficult, especially when you have that illusion of the identity that you've that you've conformed to your entire life? Yes, it is going to be hard because you are rewiring your brain. That is what you have to do. It is not just about believing. It is about embodying. It is about utter knowing. It is about being so fucking delusional in what you can and cannot accomplish or whatever that you just know for a fact it is yours. There is no doubt. There cannot be doubt. That is where you lose it. And I wish it were as simple as, well, you just change your mind and you convince yourself and you say it out loud enough and blah, 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 blah. And that sounds really, really, really great. But if somebody's telling you that, don't fall for it. The neuroscience and the books and the people that are studying this know. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that's done it, is successful with it, and that studies it, that it is a full embodiment belief system. It is a full delusional understanding. Period. And the problem with it is that you can try to convince yourself that you believe these things and that you've embodied it. But if you're lying to yourself and you don't, and any doubt creeps in and you're, for example, if you are somebody saying, well, I am doing these things and it's not working, then you're not. Your body does not feel safe to receive. You are missing the mark here. If you are still saying those things out loud, can your head say them? Sure, it's going to play that game for a while. But this is how you level up. This is how you grow. Of course, you're going to have doubt and worry and misunderstandings of how this works, especially when your brain and your body are fighting each other. You have to get them in alignment together, and then they kind of do this. It's like trying to get magnets going the opposite direction to touch, and you know how they're fighting? That's what it's like. That's your brain and your body, because your body's not feeling safe because it doesn't actually believe what you're saying. You have to make it believe it. I believed in my soul when I had joined the direct selling company that I'm in, which again, if you're not into that, that's fine. It's still, the lesson is still just as impactful. But I came in and I said, this is going to change my family's life. And I knew it so much so that I embodied it. I talked about it. I shared about it. There wasn't one freaking time that I said, but if it doesn't, or it might not, but I never, ever said that. I had that delusional belief system. And here's the thing, and I hate to say this, and I know we're getting a little off topic for where we were with the book, but no one is coming to save you. Only you can save you. So if you are sitting here stuck in your victim mindset, victim mentality, making excuses to not go after the life you want, no one is going to hand it to you. Nobody. No one is going to save you. You have to take this into your own hands and save yourself. And it starts here, right now. And I will say this is the first step to doing it.
For sure.
Listening.
You know, this makes me think about actually this post in a Facebook group I read this morning. It's The Law of Assumption with Neville Goddard. And this girl, she was an actor, she wrote in this thing, she was like, look, I am manifesting things. I am trying to bring things into my life, but I keep on missing the mark. Basically, like she's an actor and she was getting offers to do different pieces, but she was missing the window to respond by like an hour. She was oversleeping. She was getting the offers, but she was missing being able to actually receive them. And in what she's writing, she wrote like 4 times, I'm working so hard. I'm trying my best. And she was like, please give me feedback. And people literally like screenshotted what she wrote and wrote like brackets over all these different times she said, I'm working so hard. To go, this is your problem because you're trying so hard. But then someone else gave another perspective that I loved because it made me think about me and the trains, as they were like, this is working. You're just supposed to be happy to receive that opportunity and then release it and not get so upset about the idea that you missed the mark or missed the opportunity. No, be like, great, I just received that. But you know what? Another better one is coming my way. And that is how you retrain your mind. You don't fall into the negativity. You don't fall into the lack mindset of, I'm not doing enough. No, you're not doing enough up here. Essentially, not doing enough here and working.
It's coming from a place of force, not flow. We are not actually designed to come from a place of hustle, burnout, and force. We are designed to come from a place of alignment and flow. And I feel like so many people don't understand what that means. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is really, really hard to understand until you understand. And I don't know how else to put that other than if you are trying to if you are continually trying to force things, whether that be your mindset, whether that be showing up, whether that be getting sales or creating something on social media or creating a brand or building a business or building a company, if you are coming from a place of utter force, you will be met with resistance until you can come from a place of flow. That is in large part, though, due to subconscious programming. 95% of our behavior is driven by subconscious beliefs formed before the age of 7. And these programs often contradict conscious goals. And that's why this is happening. I mean, to truly change your life, though, you have to reprogram your subconscious mind.
Well, the thing to note also is the programming happens in the stomach while you're pregnant. It doesn't just happen the moment that the baby's out here. It is your mindset and how you are when you're pregnant has a direct reflection on that. My sister, she had 2 pregnancies that were vastly different. One she was extremely stressed out, was fear of losing her job, all these different things. And that child was, she cried all the time, colic, completely unable to be appeased in any way. And then her next one, completely chill, relaxed, because she didn't have that fear. She didn't create that reality of a lack mindset. She knew everything was going to be okay. And that, granted, yes, there's so much more that can go into that, but that does make a difference. The way that you are while you're pregnant, that mindset matters. That's why I am so excited about continuing to grow my family with this mindset from day one, from literally implantation.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that with my first 2. I've gained this mindset over the time and through different experiments. And so I'm really excited about trying and doing motherhood with this mindset. And so I just wanted to make sure I put that out there, because some people think like, oh, the baby's here and now I have to turn it on. No, you need to turn it on while you're trying to have the baby.
You know what's funny? Remember I messaged you the other day and I said, oh my gosh, chapter 7 of the biology of belief is so good. This is what it talks about. This is where Dr. Lipton dives into children being programmed in early development, particularly in the first 7 years of life. But yes, also in pregnancy. It's when the subconscious mind is completely wide open and absorbs everything like a sponge. I'm going to read you a little bit about this, because the core principles and teachings, because it actually rocked me to my core. It is exactly what you were saying right now.
Cool.
And it says the theta state, the brain wave of imprinting. From ages 0 to 7, children's brains operate primarily in theta waves, the same state we enter during sleep or during deep meditation or hypnosis. This means they absorb behavioral patterns, beliefs, and emotional responses from their environment without question. So if you're constantly telling your child, why are you so bad? Why won't you stop crying? What's wrong with you? Why are you so emotional? Why are you so whiny? Why are you so mean? If you're saying these things, you are creating that. That is exactly what they embody and they become, because kids do not learn by what you tell them. They learn by what we model. Children are downloading the behavior and beliefs of their parents directly into their subconscious programming. So this says subconscious versus conscious. Now, here's the thing. He really does. There was a scenario where he talked about this mother. He was preaching this and talking about this specific chapter. And this mother was like, well, I lost my child and blah, 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 blah. And, almost being like, is it my fault because of this? And, she tried fighting with him. And he's like, here's the thing. If you are consciously aware of what you're doing, yes, it's your fault. If you are not consciously aware, then it's not. And I want to reiterate that, because once we have that conscious awareness and we're still making those decisions, yes, it becomes something that you are contributing to and not fault for. But the conscious mind does not fully develop till age 7. Therefore, all early experiences become deeply rooted in subconscious scripts. The ones that dictate what happens between 0 and 7 dictate 95% of adult behaviors. Self-worth, safety, abundance, relationship, health. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, I do not like the cry it out method, because let me tell you something. That child in their deepest state no longer feels safe. They will have a safety and relationship attachment issues for the rest of their lives. And it's so crazy because we don't realize that. And again, if you do it because you're desperate for help and desperate for sleep, no shame. I just couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't in my soul. There were days for my mental health where I was like, you got to cry for a little bit, right? But I also was so aware that my child only knows me. How could I not love them and snuggle them and make them feel safe. They're crying. Crying is for a reason. They're not crying to piss you off. They don't know what they're doing. They're crying because they're scared, and you are the only form of safety for them. And when you realize that between ages 0 to 7, if you're letting your kid cry it out, or you're throwing them because they're having tantrums, you're throwing them in timeout or their rooms by themselves, you're creating a situation where their self-worth and their safety is going to affect them.
Wanders in those situations. You want to be sitting with them, processing that with them, not them alone in their thoughts, having their ego help them process that.
You know, what's crazy is parents equal the programming the child has. So, you know, the primary caregiver, it could even be a sitter, a grandparent, whatever, a foster parent. You are the primary programmer of a child's subconscious. So fear-based parenting, shaming, emotional neglect, conditional love, and limiting, imprinting beliefs like I'm not enough, I'm not safe, love is conditional. I'm too much. I want to go to fear-based parenting really quick, because it is so hard as a mother of 3 wild-ass boys to not be like, don't do that. That's dangerous. Don't climb that tree that tall. That's dangerous. Here's the thing. Children actually learn the most from dangerous play. It is proven. And it's crazy because she's actually a coach for children and teens, and she's amazing. She's a horse whisperer. I don't know if she actually does coaching anymore, but shout out to Tessa, because she actually taught me a very valuable lesson that has stuck with me. She said, you know, she brought her horses over before we had horses, and I was so anxious and trying to control. She goes, you know, you do realize you're giving your child anxiety through your anxiety. You are teaching them to fear something that they currently have no fear in, because you have a fear based off of stories that you have heard or been told. And she said, at the end of the day, everything we go through is so predestined. But at the end of the day, you can either be the reason your child develops anxiety or your child is fearless. And it hit me and struck me in the heart like a knife, because I realized my fear, because the internet conditioned me to fear these things, you know, that horseplay is dangerous. And here's the thing, everything is dangerous. Bitch, walking across the street can kill you, okay? Anything.
Using a vending machine is dangerous.
Using a vending machine. You want to hear something crazy? I went to high school with a 9th grade with a family. There were 5 children and their parents had just been killed. They were driving in their car and a tree branch just fell and killed them. A tree branch out of nowhere. When I tell you, nothing is safe. There is absolutely nothing. You could have something nobody finds, and we all just, you know, you don't wake up one day. At the end of the day, so many people can be like, oh, well, that's not safe. Nothing's safe. You walking across a street on a crosswalk isn't safe. Nothing is.
If you're thinking it's not safe, it's not going to be safe. You're going to fall off. You're going to get in an accident. If you are constantly expecting that to happen, you will be magnetically attracting that to you.
Yes, you're magnetically attracting it. And, you know, for me, when I have those intrusive thoughts, I constantly am like, I rebuke that. I need you to leave. That's not my reality. I rebuke that. I'm constantly doing that. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, many parents are unknowingly passing down not only limiting beliefs, but anxiety. A children does not just develop anxiety. It is taught. And a children does not just develop aggression and certain behaviors. Those things are taught. They are taught. So a parent who believes they are not good enough will instinctively raise a child that feels exactly the same. Children do not do what we say. They become what we are.
Well, you're emanating a frequency. Again, from that theta state, you can pick up on that kind of stuff, regardless if they know that you're emanating a self-limiting belief frequency. I am off just a little. Poppy picks up on it. Mommy, are you okay? Are you happy? Are you sad? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I literally just, I'm like, I'm okay, but like, wow. The fact that you can pick up on that is just incredible. But also it shows me like, wow, they are literally paying attention to every single little last thing.
My kids remind me all the time, I eavesdrop. I hear everything, Mommy. I eavesdrop.
You're like, great.
But real quick, because I feel like the children part kind of took over and I want to get back to business, I do want to say something that he taught the responsibility of a conscious parent. There is a book out there called Magic Parent, Magic Child that he recommended and said it was one of the best books ever. And he's like, I read the book, but had realized later in life that I had actually been parenting that way. And so, I encourage you, if you're in that situation and you feel like you've been unconsciously parenting based off of how your parents parented you and you're ready to break the cycle, I highly recommend that book. Have not read it, but he recommends it, and I do trust his recommendations. He advocates for modeling calm, emotional, and intelligent behavior, which I know we talked a lot about recently in one of our episodes, being mindful of how we react to mistakes of bad behavior, creating safety, not fear, around failure, and teaching through presence, not performance. For parents, your emotional regulation is your child's curriculum. If you can regulate your nervous system first, your child will co-regulate with you. A key to doing that is if they're dysregulated and they're frustrated and they're doing all these things, you can actually sit with them and hold them and squeeze them tight. It will regulate you both.
Breaths. Yeah.
Do deep breaths, make them feel safe, rub their head, their shoulders, create a safe environment. Speak to their subconscious. Repetition, tone, and environment matter more than lectures and more than timeouts and more than shame and more than anything like that. Shame will not make your child a better child. It will make it so they're scared.
Shame will disconnect them from you.
I mean, and if you're an adult that doesn't have children yet, or you want children or whatever, or you just need to work on this, I think that we need to recognize that many of our triggers and patterns are not ours. They were instilled in us from a young age. And healing is never going to be about blaming our parents or our lineage or generational
great
trauma.
Teachers. We're not going to blame our teachers.
Well, we talked about the victim stuff last episode where a lot of people will make excuses for who they are and how they are by blaming their past, their parents, their upbringing, their exes, whatever. It's about recognizing the origin of the pattern and choosing something new. That is what it's about. It's about going, oh my gosh, okay, I recognize what's going on here. And I feel like that is so incredibly important because at the end of the day, we are energetic beings. Quantum physics shows that we are made of energy and information. And your thoughts and your emotions emit vibrations that influence your body and your field. I mean, I could go on and on about this forever.
Forever.
Literally forever. Well, actually, I got a message early. I've been getting a lot of these lately. I've been on it. I've been getting a lot of these messages. I feel like anyways, listen, I have had so many people tell me, because I've been going in on the fact that you have a winning lottery ticket in your hand. Why are you not utilizing it? If you are somebody that is complaining about money or your family is in a financial situation, you have a tool to get out of it. Are you using it or not? And here's the thing. When I say that, it triggers the fuck out of some people. People are like, well, I'm not like you. I don't have that personality. I don't have a big following. Whoa. I can't do that. I do a lot. I post a lot, but nothing happens right there. That right there. Do you see how you are talking about yourself? You, whether you think you can't or whether you think you can, you are right. And I know I say it a lot. I say it all the time. I've said it here. I say it on my calls. I say it on my stories. But at the end of the day, you are creating your reality based off of the limiting belief. And you are going to continue to play into your victim mindset and feed it like it is your child. That is why you will never be successful. But at the end of the day, everybody starts knowing nothing, having no confidence, and at zero. But the difference between those people and the 1% are they never stop.
They don't care.
They stay consistent. They don't give up, and they work on themselves and retrain their brain to believe they are worthy. Because at the end of the day, I have a hard time having empathy and understanding now for somebody who refuses to utilize a tool that they're holding all the time and isn't making money from it, but is complaining about their lack of income or complains about not having money. It's hard to relate to that anymore, knowing that there are 1,000,010 ways to make an income on the internet by utilizing your phone. And yes, people can be like, I'm showing up and nothing's happening.
Mr. Beast showed up for 4 years making videos before he ever went viral. And that man makes, $500 million a year. So it's consistency. It's the belief in yourself. It's the belief that knowing the next video is going to be it. The next, topic I talk about is going to be it. It's that belief and not giving up.
Yeah. Well, okay, so back to the biology of belief, because this all is encompassing. I learned about this new thing I'd never heard about called Psych-K. Psych-K. Okay. Now this is a registered
that?
trademark. Exactly. So you can go to Psych-K and you can find more information on it. But I'm going to tell you everything, and I want to try some tools because, again, this is new to me. I just learned about it in the book, but it is a subconscious reprogramming modality developed by Rob Williams, used to change limiting beliefs rapidly and safely. It is based on muscle testing and whole brain integration techniques. So how it works is he uses kinesiology, which is muscle testing, to communicate with the subconscious. If you've never heard of muscle testing, I have worked with many, many holistic practitioners, functional doctors for muscle testing, for supplements, and it is phenomenal. It is actually like mind-blowing. And you can do it with yourself.
Yeah.
You can do it to yourself. Find a YouTube video on how to do it. I 10 out of 10 recommend it. It is so simple. It's way more simple than we would imagine. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, well, I need some kind of formal training or somebody professionally to do that. You do not.
I just did it in my kitchen for the first time and it
I
worked,
did it the other day with all my supplements. I'm going to go through and try to do a video and see if I can post about it. People are going to be like, that's so woo. It's not woo woo. I know it seems crazy. Trust me, I get it. There is so much science and understanding behind it. But anyway, so he uses muscle testing to communicate with the subconscious by shifting beliefs using balances. So postures and processes that align left, right brain hemisphere and rewire subconscious beliefs. So it blends psychology, neuroscience, energy psychology, and spirituality all in one. So here is, obviously, I do not have a certification, but I am going to tell you how you can facilitate this. Again, all the information's on his website. I'm not trying to like take away something from this man because I think it is incredible. But at the end of the day, this is just such a profound thing that I was like, I cannot not talk about this. So when it comes to this, like muscle testing, for example, ask the person to extend one arm straight out. Okay. And say, my name is, but you want it to be your real name. My name is Amanda Knox. Okay. I can't push it down.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Lizzie McGuire. I mean,
you can think it into it too. I said my name was you and it went down. I was like, oh my gosh.
But basically, this is how you're testing it. Now, test beliefs. I am worthy of love. I trust myself. I am safe to receive money. Now, another way you can do it is stand up straight.
Right. Yeah.
And tell your body, like, you want to create a safe situation. And you know what? Actually, let me look up how to do that really quick.
No. You stand
what do you say?
Swaying. You just say whatever and you sway up. Forward is
no,
yes.
You have to like set the expectation that like going forward is yes and going backward is no.
I never did that.
You have to set that expectation, or you're supposed to, or at least even subconsciously.
In my head, yeah.
Again, like I don't actually, this isn't my expertise, but then you know, a strong reaction. So I recommend doing this with two people where they lightly push down on your arm. Now, when I did it, my arm was out to my side and I held like the supplement bottle in my hand in my lap. She would push it down. If my arm was really weak, I was not supposed to take it. If my arm was strong, she would remove it from me and do one capsule at a time to see what dose I should take. So basically a strong reaction, you're strong, you're not like going down, is a subconscious agreement where weak is subconscious resistance. Now, again, I know people are going to think this is woo-woo. Google it if you don't believe me, okay? ChatGPT.
Well, it's how I healed Goldie's eczema through this. She all of a sudden had random eczema. I was like, what is going on? Weird synchronicities made me realize that excess mushrooms, especially like reishi and some other ones, can cause eczema. And I had just started taking a mushroom coffee at the time and I freaking loved it. But it was too much because she was breastfeeding and she was getting it from me. So to make sure that's what it was, I had her muscle tested and sure enough, it was what it was. And she told me how long it would take to detox out of her body. And she was right. She literally goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it like, when it goes down, that's how many days it takes to like heal. And sure enough, stop taking the mushroom coffee and within the time frame that she said, the eczema went away. So
that is
you ain't a believer. It does work.
But again, you know, this entire podcast is centered around experiments and belief systems and rewiring. So, this says back to the Psych-K, belief statement creation. What area in life is not flowing? You have to ask yourself this. What do you wish you believed in instead? For example, one of the examples he did is this woman had very severe stage fright. It took him 10 minutes to completely remove the stage fright. 10 minutes by doing this. Like, she was somebody that got up, literally words couldn't even come out of her mouth, profuse sweating, things like that. And he was able to take her backstage and work with her. She came out and she didn't shut up. He actually had to go get her off stage. And so I think that's really funny. So examples of this are, I am loved and supported. I trust my body. I love my body. I am safe to succeed. These things are important with what we're dealing with specifically. Now, your whole brain posture, this is inspired by the balance technique. You want that person, whoever's doing this, sit with legs and arms crossed. All right. So sit with legs and arms crossed, left over right, or vice versa. Hold their belief statement in mind or repeat it out loud for 1 to 3 times. Then uncross and place the fingertips together like a steeple for integration. This posture helps calm the nervous system and integrate hemispheres, which accelerate belief alignment. Now, you need to emotionally anchor this. How true does that belief feel now? 0 to 10. Where in your body do you still feel resistance? Using breathwork, visualization, or EFT tapping to clear it, this is where that really helps. Now, affirm while in the alpha state. You want to ideally guide the person into a relaxed meditative state. You can do this through breath work. I know a lot of people are like, what's breath work? YouTube it. Breathwork can get you into the meditative state very fast. I'm talking within seconds, okay? Once relaxed, have them visualize the desired belief as if it were already true. Seeing it, feeling it, hearing it. Now repeat that belief statement multiple times. Now, this is some tangible action items to help people. If you are the facilitator, practice muscle testing on yourself first. Create a belief audit list for common categories: money, love, safety, health, which, you know what, we don't even need that part. But for the person you're helping, start with identifying one belief that's holding you back. Choose its opposite and write it out clearly. Do the belief rewire process 3 to 5 days in a row, especially if you're not getting this help from somebody who obviously is professional. This is quick. This isn't a 3 to 5 months thing. This is anywhere from 10 minutes to 3 to 5 days. Use voice recordings of belief for nightly subconscious reprogramming. Track shifts in behavior and emotion and energy. Now, this doesn't have to be slow. Subconscious rewiring tools like this are incredibly potent, especially when combined with emotional charge, repetition, and imagery. And I cannot stress that enough. So if you're somebody who thrives off of scripts and things like that, you need to write it and you need to do that. Do whatever you think will help yourself so incredibly much. This was talked about also in chapter 7 of the biology of belief. And I 10 out of 10 recommend, if you're a parent, a coach, a healer, a leader, anybody in any capacity, honestly, will benefit from at least chapter 7. Like, if that's all you are going to read, start there. The book is incredible, but it talks so much about this. I mean, the fact that we have scientific evidence backing up what we've been preaching since day one, and we didn't even know that until recently. We just knew that our experiment worked, and we were just finding things that really validated it, but it's validating it on a scientific, soul conscious existence level to where we're like, holy shit, we have something here.
Well, I was just thinking about the girl with the stage fright and why it works for her. And I was thinking about her visualizing her going out on the stage and speaking in confidence and not sweating and being able to get the words out. And it's like, that's how the power of visualization works, is because your brain does not know the difference between a truth and a lie. And if you tell your brain and visualize that brain, your brain is going to enter those circumstances in the future and be like, oh, I know exactly what we're supposed to do here. You're not supposed to sweat. You're supposed to get the words out. out, you'll do it great, And that just clicked with me of like why visualization works is because our brain does not know the difference between a truth and a lie. And being able to constantly implant that into your subconscious, it will play out in your conscious. It just all clicks.
Well, and that's how narcissistic people can convince themselves that their lie is truth.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure. Their truth is the truth.
Even if it's not the truth, it's their truth. And they can convince you it's the truth because they genuinely, believe it. We don't even need to get into that. But
that's a really good point, though.
Yeah.
That was a really good point.
I know. I feel like I was. No, but, we look at all this and I'm just like, if you aren't working on yourself and you're not trying to utilize the things you have and the systems that you have, that this is free. This podcast is free. Okay. This is a free source for you. And if you are not utilizing the things we're giving you, the tools that are also free, why not? Why? We want this to impact you. I think that is our biggest goal out of this entire thing, is to bring you something that can change your life. And we expect nothing in return. We just want to contribute to helping people's lives change because we understand what it takes because we've done it. And I want nothing more than to see the victim mentalities and generational poverty to completely disappear. We were not born and put here to go through these things. I want to remind you that you are special. You are loved no matter what. If you don't think you have something to offer, again, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you are right. You have something special. You had a 1 in 400 trillionth chance of being born, and you managed, out of all things in the entire realm of existence and the universe, the multiverse, you are here right now, connecting to this podcast, connecting to the people you're connecting to, surrounded by the people you're surrounded by. How incredible is that? Out of literally being born anywhere in the entire universe, you are right here, right now, this day and age, with the tools that you have.
Like, yes, we are special. Everyone's special, but we're no more special than you. We're no different than you. People, I have to say this because I feel like people look at us now and we are presenting ourselves like we truly do love ourselves, but there was a time where we didn't love ourselves, and you could directly see that in how we looked, how we presented ourselves, how we carried ourselves, how we showed up, what we chose to talk about. Because what I've begun to realize is I'm not sharing as much as I used to online anymore because I don't need to fuel my ego as much anymore. I don't need that validation anymore. And I think that that's honestly beautiful because so many of us compare. I lost my train of thought for a second.
So many of us compare ourselves to other people.
Yes.
I agree what you're saying. Here's the thing. There's a reason the saying comparison is the thief of all joy. Jesus, I can't talk. Comparison is the thief of all joy. Comparison is the thief of all joy. If you're showing up and looking at my Instagram and comparing what you have or do not have to my Instagram, please know you are looking at my chapter 180 and comparing it to your chapter 120. You can't do that. Stop comparing. We are not the same. We do not have the same soul. We don't have the same mission. We don't have the same belief system. And no matter how much you think you're similar to somebody, you are your own sovereign being that has free will, that has the ability to go out and create what you want. And the thing is most people are so comfortable in the victim mentality, they don't even realize how comfortable they are. It has become a security blanket. You remember where people were wearing masks for comfort, for security, not because of safety in 2020? That is what it is. They still be doing that. You wearing it in your car, girl. You wearing it during sex. That is a safety blanket. I mean, truly.
I haven't thought about that.
I haven't thought about that in a long time. I know. But it's the same thing. Here's the thing. If you've been a victim most of your life, you get so comfortable being a victim that it almost becomes your whole identity. You have to train yourself out of that. And there are 1.5 million ways to do it, but we're giving you the tools and practices that we have found that work best. Personally, there's a million ways to do it, right? You can go attend conferences all you want. You can go ahead and listen. You can read every self-help book that's ever made and listen to every podcast. But at the end of the day, it boils down to you. Are you still trapped in victimhood? Are you still listening to that inner voice, that narrative that you have been spoon-fed your entire life, that has been passed down to you? You are not who you've been told to believe.
Yeah, people think like, oh, What?
You are not who you were like, wait, what? You are not who you've been told to believe. You are not, you are not who you've been conditioned to believe who you are. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I had to get that
it's
correct.
okay. I lost my train of thought though. I've been doing that.
It's okay. You know, there's a lot going on right now, and I know here, I want to say this. I know that the weight of the world right now seems heavy and it seems chaotic, and here that is normal. As people who, especially if you're an empath, you can feel the collective heaviness. I understand, and it is hard to block out that noise, but sometimes you have to, for your own mental health, for your own internal safety. And also, you know, a lot of people will be like, well, removing the excuse from the sales, there's too much in the world for me to even be trying to sell stuff on the internet. I get that, but at the end of the day, people gotta have jobs. They gotta work. So, you know, it is one of those things where we can keep making excuses, but stop. You know, go create something because you know you're worthy of creating something. Create something for your family, your future self. Go out there and create it.
Your intuition has told you what you need to do already.
You're here for a reason. Yeah. Yes.
And if you don't know, if you've not had that download of like what you know, your intuition, what you know God wants you to do for your life, you need to be eating better, because you're probably not eating very good. Because if you're eating shit food, that is a disconnect from God. You need to stop drinking so much, because that is another disconnection from God. And you need to be praying and talking to creator, source, universe. What I heard this funny acronym this week, GUS, God, universe, source. I was like, that's funny. That's all inclusive. But someone actually made the comment on our YouTube that they appreciate that we're inclusive in all different types, Christian and, you know.
Well, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we have to, we should be. I mean, here's the thing. Not everybody listening is from the Bible Belt in the South. I mean, that's just not how it works. So, you know, I look at the world, and at the end of the day, when you look at all the teachings through history and ancient history all over the world, they're all saying the same thing. They're just worded different, and everybody thinks their specific belief is correct.
It's just been wrapped up differently. Yeah.
It's just been wrapped in a different box. It's the same package inside, but it's just a different box. Everybody's been distributed, and everybody has been told by the person they've been distributed it from that this is the only box that's right. So, you know.
If religion was the answer, we wouldn't have 1,000 of them, and there would be some sort of like cohesiveness with the collective world at this point. But we are more disconnected than we ever have been in the history of this earth. So,
well, man and his ego have really taken over. And here's what's really cool, and something I want to say from personal experience myself: when you can learn to strip away the ego that you are not always right, you might not always be right, you might not always have the answers, that your truth doesn't mean it's the truth. If you can remove that and come from a place of love and understanding that we're all going through this life together, this existence, it's not fucking easy. Give people a break, that you're not, your mindset, your thought process is not the end all be all. Just because you think it's set in stone correct doesn't mean it is for someone else, because everybody everywhere thinks that. And that if we can come from a place where we have empathy and love for one another, we could change the entire world. And I know we've been so disconnected from that because of man's ego and the hierarchical systems that have been created, that is why we are so disconnected, and we have no freaking idea that we can create our own reality. But it's just now finally starting to come out because of the internet. But they knew that. Ancient Egyptians literally knew this.
Well, because God tells you, God told me everything that we have talked about. The fact that we have just now realized that there's science-backed information that supports everything that we've been talking about. I've only learned everything because of experience and time with God. So if we're all coming to these same conclusions, there's something to that, you know? Like we're all, it's not like we're all reading the same source and all then, you know, no, we're getting connections from source to be like, hey, this is what's actually how to best function in this world, is to have gratitude, be positive, spin the negatives into positives. I was actually talking to some people about that this morning. I was like, you know, you could focus on anything negative. There could always be if your RAS is going to filter that negative situation, you will always immediately see it. But if you start trying to see the positive in something, like people were talking about issues with our back office, and I was like, well, thank goodness we are in so early that we're having so many growing pains.
Yeah.
Not
well,
that
and something else too. Something else along those lines, like people that are running late, that are getting frustrated at all the red lights they hit. First of all, you are creating that, but you're getting frustrated at all the red lights you hit. You happen to be behind the slowest MFer on the interstate. At the end of the day, what if you rewired your thought process to this? All of these things happening are saving me from something. You know, for me, I'm like, wow, like had I not been stuck at these red lights, I could have been in an accident. Like there is a million ways to twist it. We can twist anything bad. We can twist anything good. That is why I am a big proponent and preacher of you create your own reality. And with free will, we have the will and ability to choose whether we're living our lives like it's heaven on earth or like it's hell on earth. Some people hate their existence. They have created a hell on earth for themselves, which is why we have high suicide rates. It's why we have this insane victim mentality. People get stuck in financial situations and think their only way out is this way because they've created that version for themselves. But that's not true, because you can also create the opposite version. Otherwise, we wouldn't have both ends of the spectrum. If you couldn't do it, we wouldn't have it.
Well, but something I was going to say earlier when you were talking about the system, so many people want to be like, the system's broken. It's like, no, the system is exactly designed how it's supposed to be. They don't want you to be like this. They don't want you thinking like this.
The system's not broken.
No.
They broke it. They designed it the way they did to keep you disconnected, to keep you broke, to keep you stupid, to keep you ignorant, to keep you divided, and to keep you, I already said broke, but poor, all of it.
Yeah,
sick,
all of it.
Sick, divided, broke, and distracted. Sick, divided, broke, distracted. If you cannot remove the noise, it will keep your nervous system dysregulated. Think about it. If you're somebody that turns on the news a lot, grandparents, our grandparents' generation, our parents and grandparents. My grandma wakes up every morning. The first thing she does is put the news on. I love you, Gigi. You need to stop doing that. I've already told you that a million times. I don't even let her watch it here. I know you be listening, Gigi. But I say that because it's in the evening. It's in the morning, it's on during the day, and your subconscious is picking all that up, whether you're watching it actively or not. And guess what? Your nervous system is staying completely dysregulated. And when you watch people that conform to the news, you notice their lives are in chaos. They have created a reality for themselves that is less than ideal. And why would you want to do that? Stop being so damn distracted by screens. Go enjoy life. You know, it was funny the other day. I had a girlfriend over, and we were both going through a lot. And she came over because of it. And I said, let's put our phones away and let's go jump on the trampoline. And we went and we got on the swing and we jumped on the trampoline, and then it started pouring rain. And instead of going back inside and immediately getting on our phone, I said, hey, let's go jump on the trampoline. And guess what? We didn't feel the need to document it. We lived in the moment and we felt like children that were finally free. And that is the kind of stuff we have to get back to it. We are the most connected generation ever. We have the understanding and ability of what it means to be connected, yet we think this means connected. You can utilize this for good and for income and still manage to be slightly disconnected and connected more to your family, or you can do the exact opposite. I feel like we could keep going about all this stuff forever.
I know.
And
we
ever.
Really could.
And ever.
Well, one thing I wanted to say is I saw again, I can't remember what Facebook post this was. I'm in so many different Facebook groups, but I freaking love it because I love getting information from the collective. Like I don't like only getting it from like scholars or whatever. Like I like real life.
Or getting it only from people that have the same exact views and beliefs.
Yes. What is up with me today? I am really
I'm sorry. Is it my fault? I keep interrupting you and I don't mean to.
Yeah, but like...
It's okay.
I was talking
You're
about...
You're going to find it.
I remember. Thank you. They talked about, I'm feeling so disconnected with myself. I don't know how to connect back to source. I feel like my adult life is really taking over. How can I reconnect with who I was? And they go, do the things you love to do as a child. Was that read a book? Was that sitting there and drawing? Was that making something with your hands? Usually it's something creative because newsflash, if you haven't noticed that the very uber wealthy, their children almost 9 times out of 10 always get into something creative. Arts, music, fashion, something like that, because that is what fuels us as being creative. God created us to be creative beings. We weren't meant to sit in a desk behind a computer all day long. We were meant to use our minds that literally can create an entire reality for yourself. And so if you are struggling with connecting to that, pick up that childhood hobby that you loved. That is one of the best ways that you can reconnect with who you truly are. And remember,
it's so funny
who
you
really
say
are.
that, because over the weekend, you know, I felt when things felt heavy, just because there's just been a lot going on behind the scenes in life, business, blah, blah, blah. And Cruz, my youngest son, he has been coloring a lot lately. And so I picked up the book with him and I said, let's start coloring together. And we colored for like 5 hours. And it just felt so nice. It was unintentional, but it literally set me up to do a lot more disconnected things throughout this last week than I'm used to doing, especially, you know, I run a business with a team of 10,000 women. That is a full-time job. But at the end of the day, you know, I don't do this to answer to them. I do this to answer to me and my time and be with my family and be a present mother and wife and things like that. That is why I created what I created. So I feel like it's important to get to those. And again, you know, here's what's cool is that also creates safety within. And so it is important for us to find those things. Yes, I love that. I'm so glad you shared it.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to end this episode. Yeah.
Me too.
Like, get back out in nature. Go and play with dirt, sand, something. Go and do something.
I do it all the time. I just don't share it on the internet because guess what? I don't care that anybody knows that I am or am not disconnecting. Yeah. No, I'm not the kind of person that's going to tell you, oh, I'm disconnecting for a little while. I'm not in my ego that I need to let other people know on the internet.
Hey, if you are, that's okay. But here's the thing. You are now becoming aware of it.
Yes.
And just allow that to fester and to ruminate, that you don't always have to share something.
You don't always owe people an explanation.
Yeah. Yes. Oh gosh, yeah.
You don't. Man. You don't. I learned that the hard way. I used to think I was an over-explainer. I actually did learn that. And I think that came with age. You know, there's a lot of things that I feel like
it's a people-pleasing thing
with age.
Is over-explaining.
Yeah. So
and once you stop, like, I think I said this on a past episode, but one time we were going to a party and then we were going to be late and I was going to tell them why we were going to be late. And Tyler was like, who cares? We don't need to explain to anyone how we spend our time. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And like deprogramming that people pleasing was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. Because I chose me and my family now.
And it's hard when you're expected to be somewhere at a certain time. It's hard because it's not just you rely on and you're trying to get out the door and all those things. And if people can't be understanding on that, then bye.
Yeah.
Anyways, bye. We will say bye.
Love you.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us. It means more than you know. And I cannot wait for you guys to see what we have up our sleeves for next week's episode and guest. It's huge. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.